If one of your goals is to be prepared for a wilderness survival type situation that lasts longer than a couple of days, then you're probably going to want to have a way to get yourself some food. And I don't know about you, but unlike what you might see on some of the survival TV shows, I'm not real fond of the idea of eating bugs and scorpions and stuff. I prefer meat. One of the most time-tested methods of getting some meat throughout history has been the good old bow and arrow. But one of the drawbacks of traditional archery equipment is, of course, it's kind of big and bulky, and it's hard to just stick in a pack in case you need it. So a few years ago, the folks at Survival Archery Systems came out with their tactical survival bow, which is a semi-takedown, semi-folding bow, which fits in a very small, compact package, unless you take it in most packs, even some day packs. Well, not too long ago, the folks at SAS upped their game and came out with a 100% folding bow, no assembly required other than putting the string on it. Still fits in a very, very compact package, but allows you to carry a bow with you in a very compact package that is fully legal for hunting in all 50 states of the U.S. I'm talking about the SAS Recon Survival Bow. That's what's coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose, your home for information and gear reviews related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. My name's Brian. Thanks for joining me, and thanks to the folks at Survival Archery Systems for sending me their Recon folding survival bow. Let me get back where you can see this so I can test it out and show it to you. And let me say right up front, and you'll figure this out real soon, I'm sure, I am in no way, shape, or form any kind of an archery expert. I've shot bows on and off all my life, but I'm seriously, like, I'm not the archery expert. So if you're looking for super technical archery advice, this is probably not going to be the video that's going to make you happy. But if you're looking for just a regular guy who is not an archery expert's kind of first opinion on this thing and talk about how this thing works, I guess just my take as a regular guy who thinks maybe it's a good idea to have something like this in your emergency kit that you could use for hunting. And straight up, this bow is legal for hunting in 50 states in the U.S. So it's not a toy, it's not a gimmick, it is a real functional bow. And we're going to talk about that as we go along, but I want to go ahead and get that right up front. If you're looking for like super technical details and archery expert advice, yeah, you probably already know if you've seen many of my videos, this ain't where you need to be. But I'm going to give you my real world opinion on this thing, and we'll talk about it from there. So we'll talk about the specs of this thing, what sets this apart from some of the other survival type bows on the market, and then we'll do a little bit of shooting, and I'll show you that my level of marksmanship with archery is probably not any better than my marksmanship with firearms, but the bow itself gets the job done. So anyway, we're going to do that right after this word from one of our sponsors. This video is sponsored by my friends at clickbelts.com, where you can save 15% by using the coupon code SOP15 at checkout. ClickBelts feature genuine Cobra buckles, and they are, by the way, the only place I know of that you can get anodized Cobra buckles for the colors. They have a full lifetime warranty, and they are sewn right here in the USA in the great state of Texas. And they have some of the best customer service I've ever seen. They've even got the really cool TSA-friendly poly Cobra buckle now. So if you're looking for a very, very strong, very cool belt, I encourage you to check out the folks at clickbelts.com. Don't forget, use the coupon code SOP15 to save 15%. Okay, we're back. Just want to give you kind of a package view of this thing. So you can see that I'm wearing the backpack style bow case here. And this is their digital camo version. You can see how long it is. This particular bow, the Recon, is 24.5 inches long when it's folded. You can carry this separately. You can put it in a backpack, you can strap it to a backpack. These combination shoulder straps or straps, they'll pull up really tight, so that could go through MOLLE if you wanted to. It's very nice there. You open this thing up, got a nice Velcro patch here to really keep it secure. It's not just a little tab. And then there's a pocket here on the top. That's where, in this particular case, I have got in here. Let me show you. Got my string. I put it back in the bag just because to keep it nice and neat. You could also store this in the bow, and I'll show you that as well. And I've got my arm guard and my finger tabs, because if I'm shooting this thing a lot, practicing it, it is kind of rough on your fingers because it's a real bow. It's not a toy. And then, as you can see, obviously the bow itself fits in there very nicely, and this is what it looks like when it's folded up. So before we get down to the old stump top, let's talk a couple things I want to show you here. First of all, the bow itself allows you to store your arrows inside, which is pretty cool. It helps protect the arrows. But one thing I want to show you, because it was kind of a, I had to ask about this, to be honest with you. So on the end of the riser stash arrow storage compartment, there's these little plastic plugs, and you notice they don't go down in all the way. And at first I thought, man, this is something screwed up. But if you notice, the bolts here is only about that deep, and the plugs are deeper than that. So anyway, I got in touch with the folks at Survival Archery Systems, and that is intentional. A couple of reasons. These are designed to be removed when you're shooting the bow anyway, so just put this back in your little pouch there when you get ready to shoot it. But also, they're pretty tight, and they design that so that as this thing, you know, gets some age on it, you keep using it, it won't wear out, and it'll be tight enough to continue to function. And if it was that tight to begin with, you wouldn't be able to get it out. So anyway, just take those things out like so, put them in your pouch, and you're good to go. And you can pull your arrows out, and then you got 3 takedown arrows. Now we can go down to the old stump top, at least for a minute. Okay, so here we are at the old stump top with the Recon folding survival bow from Survival Archery Systems, and as you can see, it is a folding bow. So the original bow, the tactical bow, was a one limb folded. The other one, you had to remove one of these braces and flip it around. This one actually completely folds. You just unfold it and string it and go. 24.5 inches long. When it is unfolded, it is 63 inches long. And the draw weight is based on a 28-inch draw, and you can see the limbs are marked plainly right there. 45 pounds on this one. You can get different limbs, 50 or 55 pound limbs. The riser and the hinges are made out of aerospace grade aluminum. The limbs are composite material. The same thing is used by all major bow manufacturers. The pivot bolts are marine grade stainless steel, and you notice they are black coated. The aluminum is electronically black coated, reduces glare, and also takes paint very well if you want to camo paint this thing or anything. And then finally, the retention bolts on the limbs, the nuts retention are special type nylon, so that just gives you a really tight fit and minimizes vibration so that you don't have any wear on these composite limbs. The people that design this are engineers by trade, and there's a concept in engineering, it's called infinite life, and that basically means you do everything you can to make sure this thing will not wear out under normal use. So some things are designed to wear out. This is not. This thing should last a lifetime under normal use. You can see also, I've installed this already, but it comes with a bare an arrow rest, and you can get it with either left-hand rest or a right-hand rest, or you can put one of each on there, and then you have a totally 100% ambidextrous bow. Again, what's cool about this is there are no tools required, so you just pull it out, unfold it, and string it up. This one is 45 pounds, again, completely legal to hunt in all 50 states for everything but elk in 2 states. So real quickly, we'll talk about the arrows. And the bow, by the way, is somewhere around the $200 to $220 mark, depending on when you buy it and where you buy it. And then it comes with everything, the case and the bow and the string, and then the arrows are $20 a piece separately. And these are Easton arrows, and they are aluminum arrows, so they'll take a licking and keep on ticking. They have a marine grade 3/16 stainless steel inserts to screw them together, a multi-tip on them, and they are cut to 31 inches long. So there's that. Instead of me rambling on here, let me show you how you string this thing up, kind of how you set your brace height, and that'll be it. Okay, I'm going to try to do this where you can see, so I have to step back for a minute, but basically, again, a couple things you have to do when you first get the bow to set it up. One thing you're going to want to do is put your arrow rest on, and in this case, what they recommend doing is putting up a 1/2 inch distance between the top of this grip and the bottom of your arrow rest. And you can see, if you want to know which way is up, right about, you can kind of feel an indentation right in here. That's the center of the bow on this grip tape. So you can look at it. There's a larger space between here than there is between here. So your grip tape is going to be on the bottom half of the bow. So there's that. Got that set up. And obviously you're going to want it pulled back this way because you're not going to get any tension that way. Okay, so next thing you're going to want to do is string this thing up. So we're going to talk about brace height in just a minute, because that's going to be something that's important. But the reality is, something you're going to have to kind of fiddle with every time, because unlike a traditional bow you're going to leave strung for a while, this one you're going to have to potentially restring every time. Not potentially, you will. So we'll talk about that. But first of all, you just want to unfold one of your limbs. I like to start with the the bottom limb, which is going to be this one. So unfold that bottom limb and just put your loop on the string in the little notches, and then keep the tension on it. Let me back up and show you how to do the step through, and then we'll talk about brace height. Can you see me now? I'm trying to get this where you can get all in camera. So just hold the string with one hand and the end of the bow, upper end of the bow, the other, so the tension itself is keeping it unfolded, like that. Then you put resting on the outside of your foot. I'm right-handed, so I'm using my right foot and my right hand with the string, and then you step through the bow like so, and you catch it behind your leg right here. So, and this is the way you string any bow, not just this bow. And then you're going to put pressure here against your foot and against your leg, and bend it back this way. So just, and you don't want to bend it any more than you have to, so don't reach right back here, get close, and just bend it up, and you want to catch that in, and make sure it's in the notch very well. Make sure the bottom is in your notch good too before you do that, because this thing comes unsprung, it could slap you. Okay, there's that. Now, let's talk just for a minute about brace height. Brace height is the distance between the center of the string here and the at this point in time, this part of your riser. And the reason that's important is because you need to set that brace height to kind of tune your bow. Every bow's different, and by tuning your bow, that's just going to make your arrow fly straighter. It's going to minimize vibration. It's just going to make your bow perform to its highest potential. And they recommend a 7.5 to 8 inch brace height. So we've got a tape measure here, and right now, if you can see, we are at about, can you see that? Yeah, okay. We're about 6 3/4, 6 7/8. So we need to raise the brace height. The way you do that is you're going to shorten the string. The way you shorten the string is by twisting it. So let me go ahead and just do the step through again. Put this here on the outside of my foot. I'm going to step through. Then I'm going to bend the bow this way and release the string, like so. Okay, now that I've got the string released, I want to shorten it. So I'm going to twist it, and it's got to shorten a pretty good bit, so I'm just going to start twisting it this way, clockwise, I guess you'd say. Pretty good bit, and then just going to put it back on and measure the brace height again. About 7 1/4 now. So we're going to keep twisting. And now I know what you may be thinking, because I thought the same thing, that, man, does that mean I got to carry a tape measure around me every time I string this bow? Not necessarily. I'm going to show you a little trick about that in just a minute. So now we are at just under 7.5. So I'm going to give it like a couple more twists, because I want to get it just over 7.5. And I looked at some videos on the old YouTube about tuning a bow. So I'm going to give it just 2 more twists, 2 more complete revolutions. And they recommend starting out with it at the low height, so 7.5 in this case, and then checking it out. And as you shoot it, if you get a lot of noise and twanginess, then just slowly increase the height. You got like a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch range there. They say 7 to 8 on the website. They told me 7.5 to 8.5. So just kind of slowly increase it until you get to where you minimize the twang and the vibration as much as possible. So let's see what we have now. So we are just over 7.5 inches. So, or just at 7.5 inches. So they recommend when you first string it, let it sit for a little while, and then check it again, because the string may stretch out a little bit. But the issue is, when you store this string, it kind of maybe wants to come undone, or it's going to be really difficult to get undone, because it's going to twist itself up like if you ever used a yo-yo when you're a kid, you know how the string gets twisted up, right? So you're going to have to kind of double check this every time. Does that mean you need to have a measuring tape with you when you're in your survival kit, so to speak? Well, not necessarily. A couple things you could do. And I measured on my hand. You can see from the end of my fingers, the end of my largest finger, to about right there, that little wrinkle line right there is, if I hold it steady, is about 7.5 inches. It's actually probably about 7 3/16. So I know if I get it just beyond that, somewhere in this range right here, in that little range, it's where it needs to be. So you can do that. Or here's an idea. I just took one of the arrows And I don't know if you can, hopefully you can see this because it's really kind of faint, but you can see right there, I've scratched out some lines. Now, this one is 7.5 inches. This one here, as you can see, hopefully you can see it, is 8 inches, and this one's 8.5 inches. So all I got to do is string it up, put this here like so, and I can look at the lines and see, I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it pretty clearly, just over that line. So I don't think that's going to damage the arrow that much, but it just gives me a good, easy indicator that I'm in the range for my brace height. So the strings come with a little brass knock. Well, I didn't have mine very tight. I was trying to adjust it based on another YouTube video, and it's gone. So I didn't get it tight enough to adjust it. So I've just been winging it and knocking the arrow, like, you know, just trying to knock it where it's kind of 90 degrees to the riser, and seems to be working okay for me. Okay, well, that's pretty much all I can think of to tell you about the bow. Initially, we talked about the components of it, what it's made of. We talked about how to string it, how to set your brace height, how to put the arrow rest on. Talked about the quiver, the case, whatever. And like I said, this is kind of like the initial first look at this thing. I'm going to be playing with this thing for a while. We're going to do some comparisons and stuff with other bows, and we'll talk about that in a second. But why don't we shoot this thing for a minute? Let me just show you what I've got here. I've got their takedown arrow here. I've got it ready to go. I am about 30 feet, give or take, 10 yards from the target there, the extremely woefully sad, pathetic, almost worn out target. And we're just going to see how well I can do from here. Like I said, I'm not an archery expert, although I did win the Scoutmaster archery shoot-off at summer camp a few years ago. I shot a watermelon, not a tiny target. So let's see what happens here from 30 yards. Okay, I'm not real sure I've got this thing tuned right. I've got it just over 7.5 inches of brace height, but I'm gonna keep working with that, but it seems to be shooting okay. So at about 10 yards, I am about a foot high from what I think I'm aiming at, but pretty consistent as far as where they're impacting anyway. One more shot. Okay, let's go see how I did. Okay, well, as you can see, there's the bullseye, so we're kind of off, but I'm sure with a little practice, I'll get a little better. This is like the first day I shot this thing, kind of my initial impressions. But again, 45 pounds is legal in all 50 states for hunting big game, with the exception, I think 2 states require 50 pounds for elk. So, but it's available up to 55 pounds. They do recommend, again, if you're kind of a new shooter like me, to not go with a really, really heavy bow. You can always get heavier limbs if you want to for the thing. But anyway, that's the SAS Recon survival bow, and this has been the first impression. Once again, thanks to the folks at SAS for sending me this bow and these arrows so I can show them to you and test them out and try to see if maybe improve my archery skills a little bit. I'm gonna keep working with this, and we'll do some follow-ups. They also sent me their original tactical survival bow, so we're gonna check it out also in another video, maybe compare the two, and maybe compare it with at least one other kind of survival type bow and see how they stack up against each other. And so stay tuned for that. As always, thank you for watching Survival on Purpose. I put out a new video every Friday and Saturday, sometimes random videos throughout the week. If you want to make sure you don't miss a single one, I invite you to subscribe to my weekly email newsletter at survivalonpurpose.com/subscribe. Every week I'll send you a link to the videos from the previous week, plus any news, offers, or details I think you might be interested in. So I really appreciate your support. Once again, my name's Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident, so be prepared. I'll see you next time.